Hi, and welcome back to this week's Parsha Shir on Sefer or Gedalyahu. In this week's Parshas Vaera, Hashem uses many beautiful expressions, and actually in the totality of the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, Hashem uses many beautiful expressions of endearment to describe the Jewish people, to describe his relationship with the Jewish people. One of the interesting expressions that comes up actually twice in our Parsha, and again twice in next week's Parsha, Parshas Bo, at the climax of Yetzias Mitzrayim, is the notion that we are the Tzivaos Hashem, that we are the armies of Hashem, that somehow the relationship between God and the Jewish people is one of king and army. And the first time it occurs is after describing the lineage of Moshe and Aaron, leading up to the point at which they are described as the genuine leaders of the Jewish people that would redeem them from Egypt. The pasuk says, "Hu Moshe, Aaron Moshe." This is Aaron and Moshe. After you've seen all of their lineage and where they came from, this is the Aaron and Moshe I've been talking about. The Aaron and Moshe that will lead the Jewish people out of Egypt. Asher Amar Hashem Lahem. That God said to them, "Hotziut b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim." Take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Al tziv otam, according to their hosts, according to their army formation, according to their soldiers. That's the first time it's expressed. The second time is as Moshe and Aaron are given the instructions to take Jewish people out of Egypt, and they're told by Hashem already at this stage that Paro would refuse their request to let the Jewish people go, and that Hashem would harden their heart, and that Hashem would bring great signs and wonders. The pasuk says, "Velo yishma lechem Paro." Paro will not listen to you, to your demand, to your request. And therefore, v'natati et yadi beMitzrayim, I will have cause to bring my hand down upon the Egyptians, upon Egypt, and to do what? Primarily, v'hotzeiti et tzivotai et ami b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim, to take et tzivotai, my hosts, my army, et ami b'nei Yisrael, my nation, the Jewish people, out of Eretz Mitzrayim, bishvatim gedolim, with great wonders. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh asks two questions on this pasuk describing the Jewish people as the Tzivaos Hashem, as the Tzivos Hashem, the armies of God. He says, firstly, Tzarich Ladas Mihem HaTzivaos. We have to know who are these Tzvaos, who are these hosts, these armies of Hashem, and therefore the pasuk says not only Et Tzivosai, but Esami B'nei Israel. Goes on to say that the Jewish people are those Tzvaos. But in addition, we then have to ask if that's true. V'im hem Yisrael, if it is really the Jewish people, Hayalomar et tzvaos ami b'nei Yisrael. The pasuk should have said, "V'hotzeiti et tzvaos ami b'nei Yisrael," that I will take out the hosts of my people, the Jewish people. Or it could have said, "V'hotzeisi es tzivosai," I will take out my hosts, comma, ami b'nei Yisrael. Why does it say, "V'hotzeisi es tzivosai"? I will take out my hosts. Es ami b'nei Israel, and I will take out my nation, the Jewish people. Why is es mentioned twice? Why is the pasuk split up in this way? Or HaChaim says something really important in terms of the definition of the Jewish people at this stage and for all time. He says, "V'ulai ki yechavin Hashem lirshom batorah haflagas ma'alasenu etzlo." Maybe the purpose of describing the Jewish people in this way, with this pattern, with these words, es tzivosai, comma, es ami b'nei Israel, is to describe and to implant within us the roshem, the imprint of just how important our relationship is with Hashem, just how important we are to God, and just how high we are in His eyes, how highly we are regarded by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ki ein lo tzvaos miyochadim lo ki Israel. What the pasuk is really describing is the fact that God has no hosts, no armies like the Jewish people. So the way we read the pasuk is v'hotzeisi, and I, the king, Hashem, will take out es tzivosai. I will take out my armies. And who are those armies? With whom do I have the relationship of king and soldier, king and army? With one people alone, es ami, my nation. Who is my nation? B'nei Israel. That's the one and only people with whom I have this relationship of incredible closeness. Now, we have to think for a second about what this relationship between king and army really is all about, because the relationship of a king and army is not always so simple. And it's not always so loving or so warm and so fuzzy. It's not even always an easy relationship. It's a complicated one that's filled with tension and a little bit of anxiety. But what I can't say, what we all can say about the relationship of a king and an army is that it is a relationship of total devotion and a relationship of total trust and a relationship in which the fate of both parties is uniquely intertwined. What do I mean by that? Well, certainly, the relationship of soldiers to their king is one of ultimate devotion. They're willing to give their lives for the sake of their country, for the sake of their king. It's a relationship of total trust. They trust that they will follow whatever the king orders them to do. The king says, go in this direction, they'll go in that direction. Go in this direction, they'll go in that direction. The king has the power to send them into a battle that's a death sentence, or to save them by sending them into a different battle. And therefore, they have to put their full trust, not only devotion, but trust in the king that orders them and that sends them and that commands them in their way. In addition, the flip side is true as well. The relationship of king to army is one of total devotion. The king needs his army. He's completely devoted to the well-being of his army, because if his army falls, his kingdom falls, his country falls. He will never be able to accomplish all that he does without his army, protecting his country, creating safety and security for its citizens and for its wealth and finance. And therefore, he has to have utter devotion and utter trust in his soldiers. And of course, if the army does well, the king does well. And if the king does well, he has the power to enable the army to do well. And therefore, the fate of these two parties is absolutely intertwined, one with the next. And that is the relationship between God and the Jewish people. That is the relationship that we share with Hashem. It's a relationship of total devotion, of us to Hashem and Hashem to us. It's a relationship of total trust, a relationship of trust that's born in the slavery and exodus of Egypt, that we have to trust Hashem, and as Hashem's representatives in the world, in a certain way, Kiviyachol, Hashem has to trust us. We are His ambassadors. We are the ones that enable His Kedusha to come into this world. And of course, our fates are intertwined, just as king and as army. The Gedalyahu says, V'hu kmo binyan av. What's being defined in this pasuk of Yetzias Mitzrayim, telling us that we are the army of Hashem, is creating like a category that is known about the Jewish people. Sha'ator mefareshet kan leida b'chol makom mihem tzva Hashem u'mid nikra b'shem tzivosai. We will know based on this pasuk, the paradigm of this pasuk, that anywhere Bnei Yisrael are mentioned in the Torah, anywhere Bnei Yisrael are mentioned in the world, they are synonymous with being the tzvaos Hashem. V'chol hanhagas Hashem yisbarach im Bnei Yisrael b'Mitzrayim hayta likboa lahem shem zeh shehem tzva Hashem. The relationship that exists here in Egypt, the actions of Hashem with the Jewish people here in Egypt, were meant to create an impression upon the Jewish people forever, to implant within them forever the knowledge that they are like the army of Hashem, that they have a relationship of mutuality, of trust and devotion and faith with Hashem, perhaps like no other being on this earth. V'davar zeh, says the Gedalyahu, hu mechayev gadol livnei Yisrael. With the title comes great responsibility. With the stature comes great responsibility. As the tzivos Hashem, as the armies of Hashem, army is a harsh word. It's difficult to even say it over and over. I feel myself having trouble saying it over. We're not in a relationship of a war. We're not an army in the sense that we're at war for Hashem. That's a scary term, especially in today's day and age and throughout all of human history in terms of religious wars. That's not what we're implying at all. The term Tzivos Hashem here is speaking not about the fact that we go to war for God, but that our relationship with God is similar to the relationship of army and country, of army and king, of soldier and king. So with that comes great responsibility. What is the great responsibility? Well, that responsibility is twofold. Number one, shetzrichim leid Hashem tzva Hashem. It comes with the responsibility for us to recognize, to know, to see that we have this unique quality of being the Tzivos Hashem, of being in that relationship with God. And that's tremendously special. It's incredibly unique. We have to recognize that as number one. Number two, the hanhaga shel tzva Hashem tzricha lios acheres legamre. And number two, our behavior has to be utterly different because we are the tzva Hashem. Tzrichim lakachas mashal mitzvah umos ha'olam. We can continue this parable by examining the behavior of soldiers out there in the world, in any nation. Shebechol eis ubechol sha'ah shehem nimtzayim batzava hem tachas rishus acheres legamre. We see by definition that when soldiers enter into the army, they're governed by a completely different set of rules, of structures, than normal citizens of the country. They have to dress a certain way, they have to behave a certain way, there's a certain expectation of them that is different. They have to always recognize that their role is greater than the role of a Reuven and a Shimon and a Yehuda and a Levi and a Miriam and a Yocheved. It's greater than that. It's the relationship of a soldier. It's the privilege of being a soldier. It's the responsibility of being a soldier. They have to live up to that title that they have, and they have to behave a certain way according to the strictures of that relationship of soldier and king, of that relationship of Bnei Israel and Hashem. So too, for us, it's a mechayev. It's something that obligates us. Mechayev hanhaga acheres requires us to behave differently, to recognize that we are godly, to recognize that we have this special relationship, and to behave that way. Mechayev ba'ofen timidi. It's a constant requirement. Shebechol eit hu nimtza batzava. To recognize that we are always God's servants in every context of life. V'tzricha hanhaguso lehatim im hanhaga shel tzva Hashem. And our behavior has to match our title of being in the army of Hashem. It's crucial for us to recognize, but it's also crucial, it was crucial for Bnei Israel in Egypt to recognize it as well. And that's what the Pasuk is trying to instill in us, that in this moment, in the crucible of slavery, God is able to establish for the Jewish people the idea that they have this incredible relationship with God, that they are a people whose relationship with God is like that of soldier and king. Gedalyahu quotes the Chidushei Harim, who says, "Kitchilas nekudas hagula haya, shelo yeh biyacholos bnei Yisrael lispol od et hamitzriim." The beginning of the redemption happened for the Jewish people when they recognized that they could no longer suffer the slavery of Egypt. They could no longer live under the rule of the Egyptian taskmasters. For all too long, says the Chidushei Harim, says the Gedalyahu, the Jewish people, like many other slave populations in Egypt, came to think of their life as slaves as being normal. They came to believe that they could do no better. He even uses the word propaganda. In a certain way, the Egyptians used propaganda to instill in their slaves the sense that they might as well accept their fate and enjoy their lives as best as they could because they're going to do no better. To try to instill in all of their slave populations, including the Jewish people, that this is an okay life. It's not such a bad life. There's no reason to rebel. There's no reason to run away. There is reason to be completely loyal to your masters. And the Jewish people fell under that spell. But the moment of redemption, the moment of freedom, came at the moment they realized that they were capable of more. When they realized that they were more, that they were godly people with an incredible heritage. They were descendants of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. They were descendants of an unbelievable family. They were inheritors of a tradition and a relationship with God. They were the Tzva Hashem. They were the armies of God. They were in a relationship with God that made them uniquely suited to accomplish unbelievable things in the world, things that they would never accomplish in the mud pits of Egypt. That was the moment of redemption. That was the moment when they became free for the very first time. When they came to recognize their great stature as the Tzva Hashem. So when Hashem says that I will take out et tzivosai esami b'nei Israel, what he's really telling Moshe and Aaron is that they better start to instill in the Jewish people the recognition of their stature, because that will be the key to their freedom. And truthfully, that's the key to all of our freedom as individuals and as a nation. We are released from the shackles of our tunnel vision, from the shackles of the small world that we live in, where we think that this is the way life is and this is the way life has to be. We are released from that. We are freed from that. We are redeemed from that in the moment we recognize that we are capable of more, that we are great, that we have greatness within us, and that all we have to do is live up to that greatness. May we all find our moments of redemption and freedom on these parshios of redemption and freedom. May we all find those moments where we recognize our true greatness, both in terms of our relationship with God, our relationship to the world, to the Jewish people, and our own unique qualities and talents that we bring to the world. And may that recognition lead truly to a moment of change, a moment of redemption, where we grow as people and as a nation. Shabbat Shalom.